Happy Frog, Mr. Hippo, Ned Bear, and Pig Patch on the stage, and once we do this, we'll get the achievement as well as $10,000. And that's pretty much going to be it for the Tycoon segment. I bought some of the Rockstar animatronics and just played more basketball, because I'm good at it. Just go to the night segment. When we start up the night segment, this is where the challenge starts to become, you know, a challenge, because now not only do we have a German bear crawling around, but we also have a British person. Not that one. The crowd control aspect of the tools that I talked about in the last night now become apparent because there's 2 animatronics trying to kill us. So now's the night we need to start thinking about a strategy, and that starts with understanding one very important feature of this game: sound. When I say sound, I don't mean sound effects, like Molten Freddy scraping his wiener on the ground while he's moving in the vent. When I say sound, I actually mean the amount of sound that the player makes while performing tasks in their office, because believe it or not, but this actually matters. We're first told about this feature at the very beginning of Night 1 during the tutorial segment.
Something to be aware of is that the ventilation system and your terminal are pretty loud, and may prevent you from hearing things in adjoining air vents.
We're basically informed that if we make noise, not only will it stop us from hearing stuff, but it also will attract the animatronics. Basically, he just tells us to shut the f*** up. Also, he then goes on to tell us about all the tools that we can use to get rid of this sound. However, you know, I can't do that. So, in order to survive from these 2 animatronics, let's try and figure out what making noise really means. The 2 things that we use in our office that make majority of the noise is our computer and our fan, or should I say wind turbine, because this shit is so fucking loud. If we have our computer on, regardless of if we're doing tasks on it or not, it will increase our chance of being heard by an animatronic by 40%. And if we have the fan completely on, it will also increase our chance of being heard by an animatronic by 40%. So basically, if we have both our computer and our fan on, we have a pretty high chance of being heard by an animatronic, although why does that matter? The only time being heard actually matters is when an animatronic is present in either the left or right vent. For example, let's say that Scraptrap is currently inside of our left vent. If our chance of being heard is way too high and Scraptrap has good RNG and successfully hears us while he's in our left vent, then he will move into our office and jump scare us. We are able to stop this jump scare from happening by shining our flashlight down the vent. However, what happens if there's 2 animatronics at both the left and right vent? We're dead. So instead, we need to make sure our chance of being heard is really low, because not only will this save us from being jump scared, but it will also force the animatronics away from us. This time, we just didn't need to use a flashlight. Pretty much just the more noise we make, the higher chances we have of being jump scared. You know what, fuck it, just don't make noise. This does get a little bit harder when we actually start doing stuff, because our computer and our fan are not the only things that will increase our chance of being heard by an animatronic. The first of these things is absolutely nothing. Regardless of what we're doing, there will always be a guaranteed 10% chance for an animatronic to hear us that we just can't do anything about. So yeah, technically it is impossible to make absolutely no noise, but you know, I'm trying my best. The second additional thing that will increase our chances of being heard is doing any of the tasks on our computer. Since my office computer is currently running on Windows -5, it makes a lot of noise and it increases our chance of being heard by 20% whenever we're doing a task. We are able to get rid of this noise by purchasing equipment such as a quieter printer, but, you know, read the video title. And finally, the last thing that can increase our chances of being heard is, of course, ads. Did you really think for a second that I was gonna escape from this soda pop motherfucker? No. Whenever we get an ad on our computer, it will increase our chances of being heard by 20% until we skip the ad. And since I'm already talking about ads, I might as well quickly explain how they work, because why not? Every single sponsorship we accept during the Tycoon segment will increase the number of ads that we have during the night segment, and it maxes out at 5 ads. Once we start the night segment, each of these ads will have a 25% chance to show up on our computer screen every 20 seconds. And if they do appear on the screen, they force us to stare at the screen for 5 seconds until we can skip the ad, and they also make a ton of noise. Also, each ad can only play once per night, so up to this point, we've accepted 3 sponsorships, which means in this night, we will have 3 ads. And that is really all there is to say about night 3. The basic strategy of this night is just turning off both the computer and the fan if animatronics get close to us, so that we decrease the chances of them hearing us and in turn jump scaring us. By making sure we're as silent as possible, it gets rid of the chances for a double attack from both the left and right side, since we can only be looking at one vent at a time. So now we don't have to rely on things like the audio lure to keep animatronics away from us, because hopefully if we're silent enough, they will do it on their own. Obviously, this strategy is not gonna work at all in later nights because there's way more animatronics, but for now, it works. After we complete the night, we're also gonna salvage Scrap Baby. However, you know, that's not very interesting. Yeah. 10K. Bruh. Fuck, I missed twice. I was trying to speed it up, so then Jesus, oh my god. Did I not get 21? I'm not LeBron James anymore. I think it's safe to say that. Stop doing that! Yeah. Oh my god, bro. See, now I can buy plates. Bro, no! You can't come in here. Five Nights at Pizza. We go instantly off the bat. I turned around. Yes. I told you I was beating it. I told you. Damn, you got f***ed up. Don't come aggressive at me, huh? You didn't move. That's not... No moving. That wasn't move. You didn't move. Come on now. I'm too good. I'm too good. I don't get sued. Shit.
Did I catch you off guard?
At the start of the Tycoon segment for Night 4, we're of course going to accept the next sponsorship, which is the Wacky Wart Paste sponsorship for $2,500. And after this, if you can't guess what we're going to do, I'm afraid you have dementia or something. We're going to be playing more basketball and Midnight Motorist until we get $7,700 to purchase the Prize King, aka child gambling. And now that we have the Prize King, we can waste all of our play tokens in an attempt to win some prizes. Some may call this an addiction. I say mind your own business. Since I live by the wise words of Nick A. Sussy, I never backed down and I also never gave up, and we ended up winning $5,000. And now that I'm rich, you might be wondering what I'm gonna do with this money. Am I gonna save it and plan for my future? I bought a pizza light. So yeah. Apart from that, I really didn't do anything else. I just played Five Nights at Gambling. So since nothing cool happened, I'm gonna be talking about something that we've been doing during the Tycoon segment that is actually making this challenge easier. The thing that we've been doing in the Tycoon segment that has directly been making the challenge easier has to do with markdown items, specifically not buying them. At the beginning of every single Tycoon segment, there will be 5 different items throughout the entire catalog that will be marked down. These random markdown items have lower prices as well as an additional risk factor added to them. For example, during Night 3, the Prize King was actually marked down. As I mentioned previously, his usual price is $7,700 and he usually has 0 risk. However, the marked down version only costs $1,942, but it also gains 3 risk. This would be perfectly fine because I don't really care if my risk gets too high. I couldn't give a fuck if a kid gets assaulted by the prize king. However, when we purchase one of these marked down items, there is a chance for one of the salvageable animatronics to be hiding inside them. This means that if we get unlucky when purchasing our markdown items, an additional animatronic will be added to the night segment even if we haven't salvaged them yet. So to avoid being ambushed by every single animatronic as soon as possible, we want to avoid buying markdown items and only bring in the animatronics during the salvage segments. And that finishes off the Tycoon segment, so let's go ahead and try and beat Night 4's night segment. To make sure we can create the ultimate strategy for these later nights, we need to completely understand all the important parts of this challenge, and that starts off with our temperature. If you were trying to figure out what the fuck the fan even does, well, now I'm gonna explain it. First off, we begin every single night segment at the lowest possible temperature, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is indicated by the number in the bottom right of the screen. And throughout the night, whenever we turn off our fan to decrease our noise, the temperature will rise at a random interval every 0.5 to 3 seconds. This is bad because if we go too long without turning on our fan and our temperature exceeds 120 degrees Fahrenheit, then we die. We obviously want to, avoid dying, and we do this by turning on our fan. Our fan will do the exact same thing, but in the opposite direction, so it will end up decreasing our temperature at random intervals. However, as we know from last night, this also makes a ton of noise, so we need to balance both our temperature and our noise levels to avoid instantaneous death. And with that said, there's only one other thing that we need to understand before we can make the godly strategy. It is single-handedly the most important thing in this entire video, and it might be the only way that we actually beat this challenge. What is it? Sound. Wait, this time I'm not talking about the sound that the player makes. Instead, I'm talking about the important sound cues that allow us to know as much as possible without using our tools. The first one of these sound effects is very simple. It's this. Yeah, that's it. I'll play it one more time just so you know what it is. This is the sound effect that plays whenever the computer task that we're currently working on is finished. This sound lets us know when to check the computer and start doing the next task without even having to look at the computer. So we can start up a task and look down the vents to ward off any animatronics instead of just staring at our computer the whole night. The next group of sound effects are the animatronic voice lines, and here's a few examples of them.
One big happy family.
Fascinating. What they have become.
It feels like my birthday. Did you have a gift for me?
Each animatronic that is in this night specifically will have a voice line that plays when they enter either this position or this position on the map. The 3 animatronics, those being Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, and Scrap Baby, can only play a voice line the first time they enter each spot. So one voice line on the right and one on the left, and every time they make it back to that position, if they've already played a voice line, they won't play another one. These voice lines aren't going to be super important because the audio that plays in the game doesn't have direction. This means we can't figure out if the animatronic is to our left or to our right. However, the audio does let us know when to panic and shit the pants. And finally, the single most important sound effect group of this entire game is the vent noises. These vent noises get split up into 2 different categories, the loud vent noises and the quiet vent noises. In the quiet vent noises category, there are 6 different sounds. Regardless of which of these sounds play, they all indicate the exact same thing. These quiet noises will play whenever one of the animatronics enters either of these 2 positions. And regardless of how many times an animatronic enters or re-enters that spot, they will make a sound every single time. The other category of sounds, the loud vent noises, are very similar. There are also 6 different sound effects. However, these sounds will play whenever an animatronic enters these two positions on the map. This is exactly why the vent noises are louder, it's because they're closer to us. Also similar to the quiet noises, these sound effects will play every single time an animatronic makes it to these positions, regardless of if they've been there before or not. From just that, these noises don't sound much more important than any of the other sound effects in this game. But unlike the other two groups of sounds that I just talked about, these sounds have direction. This means that depending on which position the animatronic enters, we will hear that vent noise being played in that direction. So for example, if an animatronic enters the loud position on the right, the sound effect will sound like this. And if they enter the loud position on the left, we're gonna hear this. And if you weren't wearing headphones, that sounds the exact same, I'm sorry. This is crucial to the challenge because it allows us to not only know what positions the animatronics are in, but it also allows us to figure out if they're in the left or right vent, all without using the tools. So for this night's strategy, it's gonna revolve around us using our new ability of hearing to not die. We want to balance our noise levels and our temperature by turning off both the computer and the fan when we need to, because if either of them get too high, then we have a really high chance of dying. And while we're doing this, we're trying our best to listen out for sound effects that let us know where the animatronics are, because if they get too close to us, we need to flash our flashlight down the vents to push them away. And after a few attempts of using this strategy, we finally complete night 4. However, we're not actually done. We need to complete the salvage segment. This time, it's going to be our final salvage segment of the game, which means our final animatronic, and that's Lefty. This salvage segment goes the exact same as every other one. We just do a animatronic Q&A. But once we're finished that, we're going to head into the second hardest night of this challenge, night 5. I told you I never get sued. Fuck, oh my god. Wow, I am being absolutely in the ass. The shit. Prize. Prize king, baby. Alright, boys. First try? First try? Are we thinking first try? Anybody down for some gambling? Second try? Maybe second try? Potentially second try? Anybody want to call the third try? Maybe? Potentially? Third try? Honestly, no. Really? Polish everything. Everything is clean and polished, dude. Was a decent amount of sensory overload for all the children. I don't have like Subway Surfers footage here, but I do have, you know, a lot of Dude, what did I do? There was no noise. Zero noise. What the fuck? Brother. Yes! Oh my god, dude, that took like 15 minutes. Oh my god, let's go! Lefty, holy fuck, I almost shit my pants, man. Don't hit the nay-nay on me. I just simultaneously whipped a nay-nay.
You have completed the main.
Dude, let's go! And watch me not get sued. Watch it. I don't get sued. Better call Saul. Let's go! Alright, so before I actually talk about night 5, I do need to quickly mention one funny thing. I was trying to get filler footage that I could use for this video, and while I was doing that, I deleted the save file. So yeah, F in the comments for Mr. Hippo's Pizza, but I just had to replay the majority of the game to get back to this point, and that's why our pizzeria looks a little bit different. Once I made it back to night 5, I started back up the challenge, and we do that by accepting our 5th and final sponsorship, the Lally's Lolly sponsorship for $5,000. After that, I went into the catalog and purchased Lefty. He was marked down and costed a $1. If you're wondering as to why we didn't buy him previously, it's because if he's purchased before we actually salvage him, then he'll enter our pizzeria early, and of course, we don't want that. Also, if you're wondering why we're allowed to buy markdown items now, it's because every single animatronic is already in our pizzeria, so there can't be any hiding in the markdown items. And now that we have Lefty, we have all 5 of the Rockstar animatronics bought, which means we can put them up on stage and collect the Rockstars Assemble achievement. With that achievement, I'm also awarded $20,000, which I'm of course gonna give to my lawyer because this thing is near children. You know what? Don't even think about it. I'm actually rebranding from Pound Town. That doesn't even exist anymore. Mr. Hippo isn't even here. This is Freddy's Casino. Speaking of casinos, I'm gonna do more gambling with my play tokens at both the Prize King and the Ball Pit Tower. Again, I'm not addicted. This has a really good reason. If we get lucky or use 10 play tokens on the Prize King, we can unlock Funtime Chica. And if we get lucky or use 10 play tokens on the Ball Pit Tower, we can unlock Music Man. Normally, both these animatronics are super expensive and almost impossible to actually buy, so instead, I'm just gonna gamble and try and win them. And once we successfully do that, because I'm really good at gambling, we're also gonna spend the rest of our money on the final animatronic of the game, El Chip. And with those 3 animatronics unlocked, we can put all 3 of them on the stage and unlock the final achievement of the game, the Posh Pizzeria. I know I said all of the achievement hunting was completely useless to the challenge, but I can buy pickles now. There we go, challenge complete. There's literally nothing else to do in this game. Whatever. So with my life goals complete, all I did after that was just play a bunch of different games. I talked to Candy Cadet, played some space pizza game, and broke my neck. And that, in my opinion, is a very successful pizzeria moment. However, we're now headed into one of the hardest nights possible, Night 5. This night isn't even the final night, yet it is still absolutely insane. First off, all 4 animatronics will have movement opportunities every 2.5 seconds. And if you remember, the very minimum amount of time that each night could be was 129.34 seconds, because that's how long it takes to finish every single task. So that means the animatronics will have an absolute minimum of 52 movement opportunities each. What the fuck? And since we can't actually complete every single task that fast because of the sound risk, we end up with almost 5 times that many. Very similar, and also the video they made was just really good. So if you're looking for more FNAF 6 content to watch after this video, then definitely check out their video. And now, with that said, it's ultimate strategy time. Instantly upon spawning into the night, we're gonna start up the first advertising task. We want to do these advertising tasks early, not just because they take the longest, but also because they're really loud. So if we end up missing a sound cue and die because the printing is too loud, it's at the beginning of the night, who cares? While this first task is being completed, we want to keep our fan on, since our chances of being heard by an animatronic are already really high because our computer is on and we're doing tasks. Once we hear the first task be completed, we're going to turn off both our computer and our fan seconds to make sure no animatronics are breathing down my neck. From here, once we've made sure that we're safe, we just want to stare down the vents and wait until we hear a loud vent noise be played in either the left or right vent. Once we hear this happen, we're going to immediately turn to the computer and start up the next advertising task, as well as turn on the fan. You might be thinking to yourself, well, this is just a bad idea. Why would you make more noise when the animatronic is really close to you? However, this is actually for a really good reason. Once the fan is on and the next task is started, we want to stare down the vent that we heard the loud noise in. This will pause the animatronic that played the loud vent noise regardless of if they heard us or not. And after a while, since we're pointing our flashlight at them, this will push the animatronic away from us. And the best thing is, we were doing all of this while keeping our temperature down and doing a task. And as you can guess, after the task that we're currently doing is completed, we're going to repeat the exact same thing that we just did. Turn off both the computer and the fan, wait for a loud vent noise while we're looking down the vents. When we hear one, start up the next task and the fan, and stare down the vent that we heard the loud noise in. We want to repeat this until the advertising tasks are finished, then we want to start up the order supplies tasks, and finally, the maintenance tasks. If you're wondering why we do the ordering tasks before the maintenance, it's not just because they're faster to complete, but also because the maintenance tasks don't make any noise, so we want to save them for the very end of the night. With all of that said, there are just a few fail-safes that I implemented into the strategy just in case something weird happens. The first of these fail-safes applies when a surprise advertisement starts playing. When any of the 5 ads play, as we found out previously, they make a lot of noise. So when one of them plays and locks us into looking at the computer, really all we can do is wait until we can skip it. And after we skip it, if that happens without us dying, we immediately shut off everything to make sure no animatronics are inside of our vents. If there's no animatronics, then we just start the strategy back up like normal. But if an animatronic is close, then we wait with our flashlight pointed down the vent until it's safe to start the strategy back up. The other failsafe we have for this strategy is what we do if our temperature gets extremely high. Once our temperature reaches 110 to 119 Fahrenheit, we need to turn on our fan and turn off our computer. This is just to minimize the chances of us being heard, as well as making it easier to listen for sound effects. And all we want to do is just stare down the vents we hear noises in and wait until our temperature drops back down to a safe level. That safe level being around 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. Hopefully, by utilizing this strategy properly, we can make it all the way down to the final task. When this happens, we can turn off our fan to decrease our noise levels, because as soon as this task finishes, I want to slam my hand 8 inches into my keyboard and log off to finish the night. And that will do it for the ultimate strategy. Of course, this strategy isn't perfect because this challenge is stupid, but this strategy uses the limited amount of stuff that we have to track the animatronics and matches it up with keeping us as safe as possible. So eventually, with enough attempts and an almost 10-minute long successful attempt, we finish off night 5. After completing the night, unlike every previous one, there is no salvage segment because we already have every single animatronic in our pizzeria. So we head straight into the Tycoon segment of night 6, but before that, I have to flex how good my lawyer is. That's right, driving in on mom. What? How did I? Okay, I. All right. How long is this noise? You know how much I love gambling. Ah! Oh. 99% of gamblers stop before they win the jackpot. That one's not gonna be me. When I said I was Michael Jordan, I did not lie! Oh, why do you have to be marked down? Lefty's $1. Do I get rid of Chica? Because, like, Chica has the
Hello.
Welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family. I got 21! No, dude. Why are you hitting the gritty? You literally lost!
Results.
Mother. Wow. 1,000. Bro, I don't even need 10 attempts. The pickles are in poor condition. How do you get poor condition pickles?
Found in the back
Before
alley.
you was an animatronic found up
unsure.
my ass.
Document results.
Alright. What the fuck? What do you want me to do? Boom. That's what I'm supposed to do. Put his ass up there. Boom. Heck yeah. Pickles! And I made absolutely zero progress today because I spent the whole day playing basketball. Hey, listen, nobody's gonna get chomped by him. Like, he's fine. The comeback. I actually came back. Pause. Spend my money on whatever the I want. Yeah. I was okay, cool. I might be dead here. but we're sending it anyway! Listening for sound effects, completely impossible because 4 animatronics could all move at the exact same time. Also, because we're not allowed to buy equipment, our tasks are going to be really loud and really slow, meaning we can't even hear the animatronic sound effects in the first place. So can you guess in the comment section what I'm going to do for this night? If you said give up, then you're right. Since this night is just a significantly more painful version of night 5, I'm just gonna mention everything else about this challenge that I haven't talked about yet. The first thing has to do with what I was just talking about, the sound effects, but more specifically, I'm talking about the voice lines. As I said previously, Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, and Scrap Baby all have voice lines, but what about Lefty, the animatronic we brought in after? Lefty only actually has one voice line that he plays, and it sounds like this. That's right, it's nothing. He doesn't have a voice line, I lied. The only sound effects Lefty will actually play are the quiet and loud vent noises, because again, Lefty just doesn't have a voice line. So, yet again, the vent noises are still without a doubt the most important thing that we need to pay attention to. The other thing that's important for this night in specific is I actually modified the ultimate strategy. However, it was only a few minor changes. One of the changes I made was for what we actually do after a task is completed. Instead of sitting and waiting for a loud noise to be played, instead I would just sit and wait while staring down the vents for a little bit, and if no noises were playing while I was waiting, then I would start up the next task. This new change to the strategy doesn't actually make the strat better. In fact, it actually makes it worse. This is because it's just not better for survival, it's way more risky. However, it decreases the night length significantly because we aren't waiting for a loud vent noise to play. So now a full night will take about 8 minutes and 30 seconds compared to the old strategy's 10 minute and 30 seconds. It still sucks, like a lot, but it's a little bit better. This new change also brings a couple additional things, such as helping to keep our temperature down. Since we're doing tasks more frequently and we only want to have our fan on while we're doing tasks, this means in turn we're gonna have our fan on more frequently. Another minor change that I made to the ultimate strategy has to do with the advertisement failsafe. I got rid of it. Due to us having 5 different ads that could play during this night, pausing and waiting for animatronic sounds after each one would just take forever. So instead of pausing when an ad plays, I would just wait to skip the ad and instantly start up the next task, hoping that I don't get jump scared. Obviously, if I didn't think it was safe to start up the next task, then I wouldn't. I just made it so that it's not mandatory in the strat to pause after every single ad. And again, just like the first change, this change does not make the strategy better or safer at all. It just makes it faster. Finally, the last change that I made to the ultimate strategy has to do with how long we look at the vents. Previously, I was dying a lot because I would look away from a vent that an animatronic was in, so they would hear me doing my tasks and jump scare me because I was no longer pausing them. So for this night, I focused more on staring down one vent specifically, unless I heard a loud vent noise behind me. If I did, I would turn to the opposite vent and just hope that the animatronic I was looking at had already left. Overall, these 3 adjustments made the ultimate strategy a lot faster, but they also made it a lot riskier. But in my opinion, I'd prefer dying a bunch of times at the very beginning of the night instead of only a few times at the very end of the night. So finally, after multiple hours of attempts and even dying on the final task twice, we were able to finally complete Night 6 and therefore complete this challenge. The actual successful attempt for this night, at least in my opinion, was super clean. For the majority of the night, the temperature stayed below 100 degrees Fahrenheit up until the very end of the night. And we only had 2 ads appear throughout the entire night, which were both at the very beginning of the night, before the second and third advertising task. The only real mistake I had was accidentally turning off my computer during one of the advertising tasks before it was finished, meaning I had to redo it. So realistically, not a bad successful attempt, but of course, after we complete the final task, I click the log off button as fast as humanly possible to make sure I don't die on the final task again. And with my heart rate at the very edge of killing me, it's time to watch, without a doubt, the coolest game ending out of all the FNAF games. And after we burn to death, we're awarded with our certificate of completion, and with that, the challenge is officially over, but obviously, the video isn't done yet. I'm sure it's possible to buy everything, but I suck at this. I'm not Michael Jordan. Return to Candy Cadet again, and maybe I'll eat your ass. Nobody knows this, but I'm really just the best at this game. What the fuck? 3, 2, 1, blast off. Oh! No! Fuck. I might be dead here.
You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, that's still me.
Okay, I'm just being absolutely butt-fucked. Now I just have to hope that I don't get attacked from the left, and if I do, I'm dead. I got attacked from the left. Okay, man. Alright, I'm dead. What in the fuck? I was gonna... What the fuck? Did I not look over there? Okay. That's not it, brother. I'm losing my mind. Dude. Bro. Fuck, I missed. Sure, we'll do that one. I'm looking there! Ah, ah, not a good experience. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. Sucks dick. It's the ads. Why did I say, oh, I'm gonna put ads in here? Why am I stupid? I turned it on! You heard me turn it on. You literally heard me turn it on. No way! Five Nights at Freddy's 6. ASMR. Listen, hold on. Never back down, never what? Never what? Huh? Act like I care. The f I don't give a sh. What? No, there's no way. What? I don't know what MLG stands for. Major League Gaming or something like that? No, fuck you. What? No. no, I shouldn't. That was the last task. I'm in the room. Why would you suck on my balls? I'm gonna die here, but I don't give a fuck anymore.
You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, I'm a
That's what you sound like, bro. You! I hate these robots. These robots suck, dude. This game sucks. What did I just witness? What was that? I can't even get a drink of water because I... you! Lallies, lollies. Lally probably likes touching kids. But the RNG is absolutely putting it out. What the f? No, no, no. This game is so happy. Why are you so happy? Maybe I just have to sleep on it. Maybe I just have to sleep on it and never wake up on it. Wacky wiggling wiener paste. How many times do you want to hit the enter button? Scott got that. That made me shit my pants. Yeah. Oh my god! Oh my god, dude. Oh. Holy shit. Let's go, dude! Let's go! Finally, dude! Let's go! Let's go, dude! I told you! Today's the day! Today's the day I cook! I'm locked in, baby! Yes! Come on! Come on! Let's go! I got him caught in IKEA, baby! I got him caught in IKEA! I'm okay with burning alive. Come on.
End communication.
And food. But more important,
Why is that kid on the left so mischievous, brother? What the fuck?
please accept this certificate of completion.
Let's go! My final Faz rating score. If you think you can beat that, you can't. Go fuck yourself. Oh yeah, and I guess I'll also real quick. I will just show that I haven't bought any equipment. Ta-da! And just like that, we've officially beaten Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator without any tools or equipment. Just like all of my other videos, despite what you hear me say, in the video, I still had a lot of fun doing this challenge. This one reminded me a lot of the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 challenge because they were both super reliant on audio. This one I did really enjoy just because of how much audio there actually is if you just pay attention to it. However, this challenge still managed to be extremely hard. Basically, just as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the